let's talk first about the ego, because I really do believe that there are two states of being. We have the mind, the busy mind that is storing our memories. It's our survival part. It's the parts designed through the reptilian brain, which is our primitive brain, to kind of keep us functioning, and then when we go through certain situations, we will store memories, and then the limbic brain is kind of the alarm bell system. It's the part of the brain that when we're in a situation today in this moment, it will remember past experiences that it might scream off the alarm bell going, trigger, 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 hang on a minute, this is uncomfortable, escape, escape. And that can really alter our experience of the world, alter our relationships and how we are showing up in those moments. And often we are showing up based on our past, not really the present moment. So the ego tells us a number of things. It tells us that we are this physical body. That's 101. Okay. That we are our successes in life. We're our accolades. It can also tell us that we're our failures, our losses. It can tell us basically that we're anything to do with our past, good or bad. It can tell us that we are our position in life, and we see this a lot in people that are really striving to climb up the ladder of success. It can tell us that we're our certificates on the wall. Look at me, I have my PhD. I'm worthy of you paying attention to me now. And it can also tell us that we are what other people think of us. And this is a big one that we as women can really struggle with. I know that a lot of women really deeply struggle with this, because if we are wrapped into that reality, we will alter our own desires, our own soulful wishes, our own best self sometimes we can find ourselves being dimmed by fear of what other people think of us. I dropped that one a long time ago. Probably as a child, I've always been a bit of a rebel. And this is where I say often we need to develop sometimes a bit of a rebel, the healthy versions of the rebel archetype, to go, I don't give a stuff. As long as I'm a good person, I know I'm good in here. I can, create healthy boundaries. I can learn to say no. I can, go after the things that I want without fear. The other thing is with the ego is that I often see this with mothers, and I have a sister that's, don't ever let her see this. I'll have to edit this if it goes public, that has 4 incredible children. She has been an incredibly devoted mother and devoted wife and devoted businesswoman. And and I'm not saying that this is her, but her children's success, how far they go in terms of academic achievement, has always been very important to their family. And whereas I'm kind of the unschool mother, I'm the mother that's just like, follow your soul, find your purpose, and whatever you do, just follow your bliss. So it's really interesting coming from a family where we've kind of parented differently. But I've seen a lot of parents really suffer over the years because a child hasn't lived up to their expectation, and that can create some shame or some guilt, which those two things do not serve us. And also a lot of, we all know the soccer mums that are on the sidelines because their children have to be the best. And there's this unhealthy kind of, thing that is transferred onto our children, I think, in that way, when our ego attaches to them being ours, mine, my success, my failure. Whereas the way I view parenting is that we are all God's children. We're all children of the universal, the divine, whatever your spiritual or religious beliefs are. And they come through us. So non-attachment is very, very important in order to return to the opposite of fear-based and ego living, which is unconditional love. So the ego, as we go through life, is the part of us that stacks the trauma, stacks the stress, puts us into a state of fear. and is really the cause of our anxiety, our depression, our apathy, our anger, our hypersensitivities, our inability to really live with a deep sense of peace and harmony within our nervous systems, for one. And also, I think, going back to one of our soul missions, particularly as women, and particularly as women that are awakening on this planet, we're here to really bring a deep level of unconditional love into our families and communities, because the world needs us. It really does. And it needs us to rise up from our pasts, from the places of stuckness. And it needs us to, be the role models of healing and compassion. And that's why I really believe, life is all about the hero's journey. It's the main reason I have decided to do this Conversations with Deb event this weekend around forgiveness, because that subject to me is one of the highest forms of spiritual intelligence and also spiritual practices in action. The ability to be able to collapse out of mind and ego in our interactions with other people and the world, and to be able to come back to a heart-centered space. And I just want you to think for a moment, when was the last time you had a conflict with somebody? Could have been a little tiff with your partner or something like that, something popped up, and, you had this emotional charge, this little reaction that, all the adrenaline courses through the veins. And, when we're in those states, we are all up here. We're all coming from our head. And when we really understand the intricacies of the neural pathways of how we store memories and how the different survival parts of the brain are set up, we are predictive machines. Our brain is a predictive machine that has learnt from the past. So we can be in a moment and all of a sudden we might experience something and we don't know what the force of this eruption or this disruption or this dis-ease in our body is in that moment. And it may not even be rational. Your partner might be going, "You're so irrational, what's going on?" And in some sense, it's because we are in some sense, because it's the past memories that are really in there that haven't been healed, that we haven't kind of resolved, that we haven't gone through the forgiveness process, so that we can actually integrate forgiveness and a sense of well-being on a deep, visceral, cellular level, where we're able to rewire the brain so that we, instead of living in this hyper-aroused, stressed out state of anxiety and depression and all the different moods that we have, we're able to return our nervous system to calm and inner peace. And really, to me, the opposite of fear and ego-based living is the heart, and it's love. So when we're in that state of, we can kind of go, "Oh gosh, okay, I can recognize in this moment, I'm feeling this stress, I'm feeling this anxiety, I'm ruminating on this, that, the other thing, or I'm having this interaction." If we can just capture ourselves in that moment and recognize where we are operating from, we're able to step out into something which I call the observer. We're able to step out of the mind for a moment, and this other part of our consciousness kicks in. And I believe that's the soul. And the soul then is able to, we're able to ask the question, am I in my head or in my heart? And as soon as we recognize that, it's very easy for us to come, "Oh, okay, I'm reacting to the world or the stress or the situation right now, or this anxiety is all up here." And we're able to come right back into a more centered heart place way of being. And it's through the heart that we experience love, joy, bliss, gratitude.